The wealthy father returned from his business trip. He froze in shock when he saw the scene before him. His little daughter, dressed in a shabby torn yellow dress, was holding her 8-month-old baby brother in both arms. Her voice cracked with sobs as she pleaded, "Please don't hurt me and my brother anymore." From that very moment, every hidden truth inside the house began to unfold. Richard Hayes sat in his cold office. At 43, he ruled and worked from the top floor of Liberty Tower, in New York, one of the most prestigious buildings at the heart of the city. On his desk rested a silver-plated pen and a thick pile of documents. He signed each page like a machine, the crystal chandelier light glimmering off the Tag Heuer on his wrist. The custom suit fit perfectly across his broad shoulders. The polished leather shoes shone beneath the desk. Everything around him spoke of fortune, success and power, the very things any American man might desire, but inside his heart was empty. Richard had once known a joyful family. Anna, his first wife, had been the sunshine of his life. Lily, their little daughter, used to run around the yard with her soft brown hair bouncing in the breeze. And now there was Jacob, the baby boy, only 8 months old, born in the shadow of sorrow. The day Anna left this world because of hemorrhaging after childbirth, Richard felt radiant smile to Richard. She was the devoted woman he needed. If Anna had been sunshine, then Clarissa was the salvation of his world. She held both children as if they were her own, caring for them as though his soul had been drained away. 8 months had passed and he had not once sat down to play with Lily, nor had he held Jacob in his arms. He buried himself in business trips, paperwork, and numbers, as if running away from memory. During that time, Clarissa, his second wife, appeared like an angel, once Anna's close friend. She had stepped into the house with a gentle presence, soothing everything broken with her sweet. Catching his reflection in the tall mirror on the wall, his face stern, his eyes weary, suddenly a thought crossed his mind. He wanted to go home early without telling anyone. He wanted to bring a small surprise. Maybe Lily would run into his arms. Maybe Jacob would smile when he held him close. The thought softened him, for the first time in months. Richard took his coat and walked out quickly. Before his secretary could ask another question, the luxury car sped along the road, leading back to his suburban estate. That house had once been filled with laughter, once warm with life. Now it was a place Richard rarely touched, stopping only between trips. Today felt different. He wanted to see his family. The iron gates opened, and Richard stepped into the grand hall. Everything was unusually still. The golden glow of the chandelier fell across the marble floor. He set his briefcase down on the table, and removed his coat. Then from somewhere deeper in the house, he heard the faint sound of a child's sobs. Jacob. The sound pierced the silence. Richard froze amid the weak cries. Another trembling voice followed, small and broken. "Please don't hurt me and my brother anymore." Richard's body stiffened. It was Lily, his daughter's voice, choking, pleading. His whole body tensed, his heart seeming to stop. He moved forward slowly, following the hallway, and stopped, just out of sight, behind the frame of the doorway leading into the living room. The scene before him made it hard to breathe. Emily, only 6 years old. Her brown hair tangled, her pink dress stained with dirt, she sat huddled on the floor, her small arms wrapped tightly around Michael. The baby's face was red, his cries relentless, his tiny hands reaching out, clinging to his sister. Emily bowed her head, her shoulders trembling. Standing across from them was Veronica. She wore a tight red dress, her blonde hair styled perfectly. Her face heavily made up, but her voice was nothing like the sweetness she showed Samuel. It was sharp, each word cutting like glass. "Shut up. How many times have I told you, do not bother me? If you don't listen, I will throw both of you out on the street again." Samuel rushed forward, placing himself between Veronica and the children. "Stop." His voice was hoarse, but firm. He reached out, trying to take Michael, his movements clumsy, after so long without holding his son. "Let me hold him." "Emily, come here to Daddy." The girl froze, her fingers gripping the edge of her dress. Samuel hesitated for half a beat, his hand hovering in the air, before pulling back, standing protectively in front of them. By instinct alone, a flash of venom crossed Veronica's eyes, sharp as a needle. In an instant, it vanished, behind a gentle smile. "You're back. I was just teaching the kids some discipline. They were being too wild." She stepped closer, placing a light hand on the sleeve of Samuel's jacket, her voice softening. "Like honey, you must be tired after coming home. Don't get so worked up over a moment of childish whining. The doctor said kids need discipline, didn't he? I've been with them all month. I understand their behavior better." Samuel held Michael tightly, his throat burning. He glanced at Emily, struggling to keep calm. "I don't want to hear crying like that in this house." Veronica seized the words, twisting them into her excuse. "Exactly, that's why I'll handle it the gentlest way. Go take a shower, change, make yourself comfortable, don't let the kids see us at odds, it's not good for their minds. As she finished, she cast a sidelong glance at Emily. A single faint smirk was enough to make the girl bow her head, a snake, hidden beneath velvet, and Samuel saw it, though he could not name it in time. He stood frozen, half anger, half guilt, tangled into a knot inside him. One painful haunting question echoed in his mind: what did I just witness? Samuel took a deep breath, adjusted the child in his arms so he would not slip, then stepped into the living room. As if everything were still normal, Veronica had already put on a gentle look, her voice warm, but clearly forced. You came home early, you surprised me, I'll tell the kitchen to prepare dinner, sit and rest. I'll take care of the rest. Samuel nodded. He glanced at Michael, who was still sobbing, his chest tightening, with the feeling that he had missed something deeply important during the past 8 months. Veronica snapped her fingers lightly, and the housekeeper appeared in the kitchen doorway. It was Mrs. Whitman, an older woman who had worked for the family since the days when Sarah was alive. She was discreet, well-mannered, and spoke little. She bowed gently to Samuel, then he sat at the head of the table, Veronica to his right, Emily across from him, and Michael in a small chair, his eyes still wet and unsettled. Eat, sweetheart, so you'll grow strong. Veronica spoke as she placed a piece of meat into Emily's bowl. Her voice was sweet as honey. Her smile returned inside to set the table. Dinner was quickly arranged. The yellow light reflected on the silver cutlery. The smell of chicken soup rose warmly, yet it could not drive away the cold inside Samuel. Veronica's smile faltered only for a heartbeat, but it was enough for Samuel to notice. Her perfectly rehearsed composure cracked like thin glass, and beneath it, a glimpse of something cold and venomous slithered through her eyes. She recovered quickly, laughing lightly, as if his words had been a harmless joke. Oh darling, she purred, her tone honeyed but tight. You've been away for months, surely the office cannot survive without you. Besides, I've managed everything perfectly here, the children are thriving. Her hand drifted casually toward Emily's shoulder again, just as it had at the table moments ago, but this time Samuel's eyes locked onto it. Sharp, unyielding, and Veronica froze halfway, her fingers curling back against her palm. Emily glanced at her father with surprise. It was the first time in months she had seen him shield her, not with words, but with the silent authority of his gaze. Samuel exhaled slowly, steadying the storm inside his chest. He knew he could no longer afford silence. 8 months of absence had stolen enough from him, no more. The meal ended without another word. Veronica excused herself with faint sweetness, claiming she had to make a quick call. Her heels clicked sharply on the marble floor as she left the room, each step sounding more like retreat than elegance. Samuel rose from his seat. Emily's small hand gripped the edge of her chair nervously. Michael squirmed in his high seat, and the atmosphere still hung thick with dread. He crouched beside Emily, his voice low, gentle, the voice of a father who had just remembered what it truly meant to be one. Emily, he whispered, look at me. The little girl hesitated, then slowly lifted her eyes. Tears shimmered at the edges, but she forced them back, afraid that crying might bring punishment. You don't have to be afraid anymore, Samuel said, each word steady, deliberate, not of her. Not when I'm here. Emily's lips trembled, her small body leaning forward, until her forehead rested against his chest. The dam she had built finally cracked, and silent sobs shook her frame. Samuel wrapped his arms around her, closing his eyes as guilt threatened to drown him. 8 months away. And in that time, his children had lived in a prison built of fear. Michael reached out his tiny hands too. And Samuel pulled him close with the other arm. Both children pressed against him, seeking warmth, safety, and he silently vowed they would never lack it again. That night, the house was quiet, too quiet. Veronica had retreated to the master bedroom, and Samuel suspected she was already planning her next performance, her next excuse, her next mask. But Samuel was no longer blind. Every detail replayed in his head. The bruises on Emily's wrist, the harshness hidden behind Veronica's smile, the way the children recoiled whenever she moved too close. He sat awake in the study, his children finally asleep in the guest room beside him. The desk lamp cast a dim circle of light, and the rest of the room lay in shadow. Samuel pulled open a drawer, his hand shaking slightly as he removed a faded photograph. It was Sarah, his late wife, her smile radiant, her eyes bright with the kind of love that had never demanded perfection from their children. Sarah, Samuel whispered into Sam's stillness. With portraits, but it no longer mattered. He would not lose his children. To Veronica's cruelty disguised as discipline. Tomorrow would be different. It had to be. The next morning, sunlight filtered weakly. Through the tall windows of the mansion. Emily stirred awake, blinking nervously until she saw her father. Sitting at the edge of her bed. Relief softened her small features. Michael cooed softly from his crib. And Samuel leaned down to lift him. His arms strong, protective, unshaken now. Veronica appeared in the doorway. Her red dress replaced with a silk morning robe, her hair still flawless, her expression unreadable. "Samuel," she began smoothly. "I've been thinking, perhaps you're right. You should rest at home for a few days. The children will benefit. And I'll finally have some time to myself." Her smile stretched wide. But Samuel no longer mistook it for sincerity. He stood, holding Michael in one arm, Emily instinctively stepping closer to his leg. "No," Samuel said, his tone calm but unyielding. "Not a few days. From now on, things will change. This house will not echo with fear anymore." For the first time, Veronica's composure faltered openly. Her lips parted in disbelief. Her eyes flashing with venom. "Change?" she hissed. "Don't you dare lecture me about this household. While you were gone, I kept it together. I disciplined. I managed. You broke them." Samuel cut in. His voice low, steady, final. "You broke their trust, and I won't allow it any longer." Veronica froze. Her fury coiling beneath her skin. But Samuel turned away. Shielding his children with his body. As if drawing a line she could never cross again. Days turned into weeks, and for the first time, the mansion began to feel like a home again. Laughter returned in fragments. Emily daring to play outside without fear. Michael giggling when his father lifted him high in the air. The bruises faded, replaced with the glow of safety. And Samuel, though burdened,